All right. It is November the 9th, 2024. I am your host, David Knight, with Project JFK CSI Dallas, along with Brian Edwards and Casey Quinlan. Brian is in our audience today. Casey will be back hopefully for our next journey meeting. Guess what, guys? The conference is only just about 11 days away. So we're going to have David Denton talk here in a little bit about some details as soon as we get some stuff cleared out here. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, be sure to check out the. That didn't work, did it? All right, let's try that again. All right, for you, those of you watching this on YouTube, and for those of you in the audience, you can always visit projectjfk.com for updated information, new things that we post. Also, for those of you that would like to support our cause, you can scroll down on the front page under the Help Our Cause tab, get your name put on the website and on the wall. Click the Donate Now button. It's a secure transaction through PayPal, and you're more than welcome to donate once every month like some of our subscribers do. Whatever you feel that you would like to help out with keeping the lights on and enjoying what we do, and more shows to come, and also conferences. You'll also find the replays not only on YouTube, but if you'll go underneath the events tab, you can find out our events that are coming up. We're going to be talking about the Dallas conference here in just a little bit. Looks like we have 12 days, 52 minutes before the conference starts. Let's see here. All the replays in MP4 format is on YouTube. And if you scroll down below the videos, you will find the chat logs. So what we discuss inside the room, not the private messaging back and forth, but the ones that are addressed to everyone in the room, you can find those, download a text file in case you miss something. You can also take us with you to go on the MP3 download section. So if you want to listen to us in your car or while you're out taking a walk, you can take and find us there as well. All right, first order of business. Let's go ahead and talk about the conference that is happening on November the 20th. Sorry, 21st, November 21st. So the 21st, 22nd, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. You can find out the information not only through the Project JFK website, but also at jfkhistorical.com. And you can either scroll down on the homepage and it'll take you right to the conference section, or you can click on the conference tab at the top. Correcting our history, the JFK assassination, and the quest for truth and justice. This is a collaboration between JFK Conferences LLC, JFK Historical Group, and also Project JFK CSI Dallas. You can purchase tickets on here, event details, the accommodations. I'm not for sure, but I'm going to get the information from David Denton here in just a quick second. As far as the hotel discounts, whether those are still active, he'll give us that information. But we're going to start promptly at 2 p.m. on Thursday. We're going to go until 7 p.m. For our speaker lineup that evening. And then Trying Day Press, meet the authors of Gary Hill, Mark Harrison, Liz Gould, Paul Fitzgerald, and Bob Nelson in the breakout room between 8:30 and 9:30. So those of you that want to attend that, you're more than welcome to, or we'll probably be doing some dinner, and also shortly after that, we'll meet in the hotel bar. And if you've never been to one of our conferences, or even if you have, sometimes that's the best place to talk to the speakers, have a nice libation, and get some information that you won't hear with some of the speakers on stage. Friday morning, we're going to start at 7:50 a.m. sharp. We're going to take a break middle of the day there to go down to Dealey Plaza for the ceremony, and we'll conclude that evening back at the hotel in the conference room at 6:40. And then Saturday morning, early bird, we're going to be getting up and starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, having a breakfast buffet. going until 8:15 that evening. And then Sunday, Judith Baker will be offering additional presentations in the breakout room from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. So that's the information that I'm going to share. I'm going to turn over to David Ditton now so he can give us some more information on this. And also be sure to let us know about the hotel discount, Dave, if that is active or if that's already been taken away.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Glad to be here again with Project JFK, and we're really happy how things have really picked up with our conference in the last few weeks. We're anticipating a good crowd. I know it's kind of a little tougher environment after the 60th anniversary. Some folks have kind of put the JFK story a little bit in the background, but I know there's still a lot of folks that are still really passionate about it, like us, and we have a terrific lineup of speakers. I mean, maybe our best lineup that we've had, and I think it's something that folks won't want to miss. And we spent a lot of time, Dave and I in particular, Don Ratliff, who unfortunately will not be able to make it. He had a heart attack. He's doing well. I don't know if anybody knew that, but Don's been an integral part of our operation for a long time. He's recovering well. He's going to be making contributions to the conference. He just can't travel, but we've got some folks to kind of fill in, especially on the MC part of it, and we will roll on. Like I said, we've got a great event. We're having meals inside in the area, so folks, convenience, so they don't have to leave the hotel area. You asked about the whole, yeah, actually the special rate that we had went off on the 7th, Dave. I mean, there's possibly, if somebody contacted me immediately, I might be able to do something with them. But there's still options if you would interested in coming. The high, you might be able to find a decent rate on the hotel sites. The Days Inn right across the street has a little more economical for folks who want to walk across the street, still come to our event. We're still having signups. In fact, we've quite a bit of momentum right now. So we just invite anybody to take a hard look at what we're doing. Dave is a master of technology, as you guys know, and we'll be running all the technology part of it. And we also are offering Zoom. So if you can't make it in person, man, you really want to catch this one, catch it live and catch some of the things going on. We will be breaking on November 22nd. We'll be offering a break in our schedule so folks can make it down to the remembrance ceremony. It'll be on Dealey Plaza on Friday afternoon, then come back, resume our event, and bring some great speakers. I know Doug Horn's going to headline our event with the keynote speech, but also he'll be giving some other presentations and heading up a key autopsy panel that will be providing with Dr. Manick, Dr. Chesser. With some of the folks, I mean, Larry Rivera is going to be giving another presentation. Well, Larry's always got something good to offer. He'll be there. Brian's here today. He'll be doing, Ryan Edwards will be doing some great things. Dave's got some stuff in mind. I'll be heading things up on Thursday afternoon about 2 o'clock. We'll be kicking things off. I'll be kind of laying the groundwork, talking about some of the things I've looked at in terms of the document releases and things the last few years. And that'll be kind of my charge. We've got some new folks too. Bev Sadowski, who has not been at our event before, who's an expert on the RFK assassination. Bev will be presenting, as usual, our excellent MLK expert, Ryan Jones, always gives great presentations. He'll be coming in from Memphis, Tennessee, from the MLK museum site in Memphis. And Mal Hyman, who unfortunately didn't win that congressional race, but he's still our guy. And Mal, excellent man in terms of the media, JFK assassination. He'll be coming in from South Carolina. So I just, a lot of good people. Randy Benson's going to help us out, going to kind of step up for Don Ratliff and do the emceeing at the banquet. Uh, our good friend uh, Bruce Tatoris, I just talked to him. He's going to be coming in with Chris Milligan, among some other authors that, I mean, Chris is offering a whole array of authors to talk about some interesting topics. Some of the stuff I actually done research on some of his new authors. He's going to have a special session in the breakout room Thursday to meet some of his authors. And also Bruce is, who's got his great radio voice, is going to kind of step in and help with EMC work, uh, and along with some other folks. So I think we you know, we're excited about, we got all the bases covered. I mean, it's just something that just has to happen year round. I mean, I think the reason, you know, we toot our own horn a little bit, but the reason why we have been successful in the past in running good events is because the organization and the preparation really kind of never stops, does it, Dave? We kind of give ourselves a few weeks and then here we go. And we put a lot of time and effort into this for one weekend. And I'll promise you, it's going to be a interesting and great weekend. And I hope some of you folks will take a look at our schedule and consider joining us live or via Zoom. We are also offering for locals 1-day passes if they want to come. Some folks might want to go from one conference and go to the other. We're offering that because I think Lancer's still having an event, and we wish them good luck. And if anybody wants to check out us both, don't be hesitate to come over and spend some time with us as well. Okay. Dave, thanks, man. Thanks for giving me a little time to make a plug. Does anybody have any questions about what we're trying to accomplish here next couple of weeks?
Well, I would like to also add to that, Dave. Yeah, we're going to be doing the Zoom meeting or the Zoom portion of that. And one of the caveats of running live instead of pre-recorded, you know, we're live. Things happen, but in being with live, the videos will not be available for replay right afterwards. You run into the risk of those videos, either one of the people happen to download or click and delete or destroy the video. So they will be available at a future date on digital download or on USB flash drive. But if you sign up for Zoom, or if you're planning on signing up for Zoom, there is no replay. It is live, just as if you were there at the conference. So we'd love to have you in person or on Zoom. The other fact of it is, for those attending on Zoom, if you have questions, it's just like if you're in the audience and there's time for Q&A. I can read the question to the presenter on stage, and then they can answer those questions. So there's an opportunity there. You may not be able to talk directly to them, but if you have questions that you want to ask, I know sometimes it's hard to reach out by email or social media, just because you may send out a question and not get a reply. But if there's time available during the Q&A sessions for the speakers, then you have an opportunity to have your question asked and answered then. Um, it does look like Lancer is still having their conference. Kappa is going to be, from what I understand, they've canceled their in-person portion of their event. I don't think they got a lot of signups. I don't want to talk out of school here, but I know that they're still offering a Zoom portion from what I'm reading and hearing through the grapevine. So still want to wish them the best for that. And obviously, you know, Dr. Wecht was a huge portion of the backing of the Kappa organization. So with his passing, I want to send out thoughts and prayers to his family, the organization of Kappa as a whole, and you know, he will be severely missed. I know we'll have a small section of a remembrance of Dr. Wecht at our conference as well. But yeah, you're not going to want to miss out. And in particular, you're going to get an opportunity, whether you're in person or live, to have the medical panel. And I think that is going to be one of the highlights, along with the keynote speaker of Doug Horn. But having three of the greatest minds considering the autopsy with Dr. Michael Chesser, Dr. David Mantic, and Doug Horn, who've all been to the archives and have seen uh, the information concerning the autopsy, photographs, X-rays, and they're experts in their fields. I mean, I don't know who else you're going to get. At our conference, it's going to be on that level that they're going to be able to provide. And I know Doug will. Doug's real good about talking with people after the event or after his speaking time happens. He's a great mind. You wanna pick his brain. Why he's still around and why he's giving back to the fact of he was gone for a while just because he didn't think he had something more to add. But Doug Horn definitely has a lot more to add. His time has not passed. He's still very relevant in his research and in his findings. So you're not going to want to miss that. The other aspect I talked about a couple weeks ago, and I won't know until I get there. But for those of you that are on Zoom, we are going to try to live cast the Dealey Plaza ceremony inside Dealey Plaza, but depending on cell phone signal range and just the logistics of filming live in Dealey Plaza, we are going to give it a shot. And if nothing else, the meeting will still be active. You do not want to. Some of you that may sign in and then try to get back in later, you may have to restart your computer if you decide to leave for a few hours and then restart, sign back in. Obviously, we'll let you back in the room, not a problem. But if you happen to sign out and then sign back in, make sure that you go through the same link. Those emails for the Zoom meeting or for the Zoom event for the weekend, it's going to be the same meeting ID and the same passcode for all 3 days. You'll be receiving that email this coming week. It's going to have the meeting ID, the passcode, and a link that you can click on to get into. So hopefully we will not have an issue with the Zoom portion like we've had in the past where some can get in and some cannot. We're not leaving it to Zoom or Eventbrite to send out the invites or the links. I'm going to do those directly. And so far, obviously, you guys are all here today and have been for the last meeting. So obviously, what I do, that shit works. So, any other questions about the event that you would like to ask David Denton? Please speak up now and ask away if there's something that we haven't already covered or if there's something not on the website that you'd like to ask. All right, Dave. I think we pretty well answered that. So I will give you a call after the meeting ends, and I will, if nothing else, we'll be talking between now and the conference, and I'll see you in Dallas very, very soon.
Right. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for the time, buddy.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you, David.
All right.
Well, while we're waiting on Larry Snaff to come in and give us the update and for Larry Rivera to come in, I see Brian. He's in our room. So I know him and Gary Shaw is going to be down there in Dallas. They are the authors of the book Admitted Assassin. It's been doing very well. And Brian, why don't you go ahead and turn your camera on and unmute yourself if you're in front of your computer?
David, were you talking to me?
Yeah, I was
I'm
talking to
sorry.
you.
I was on a conference call with Ricky White, so I apologize for that.
Well, I tell you what, we were just talking about the fact I wanted to have you talk about the book Admitted Assassin. You guys are going to have well, not only are you presenting, but Gary Shaw will be there to sign copies of the book and talk with people that may have questions about the book itself or about the research. So
Right.
obviously, you just got off the phone with Ricky. How's
Yeah.
things going in your research, and how's the book doing?
Well, Ricky just shared with us he had a impromptu book signing at a local venue, and just by word of mouth through people in Paris, Texas. And he said about 80 people showed up and sold just about one to everybody. So the book is still moving up the charts, which is good for us, and getting Ricky's story out there. Ricky is going to be in Dallas with us on Wednesday at Chris Gallup's luncheon, which is also going to be on Zoom, I think. But he's got prior commitments, family commitments. He's not going to be able to stick around for our conference, but he will be at Chris's thing. What was the other thing you were asking me? Oh,
Real quick, for those that, because we haven't talked a lot about Chris's conference, when is that going to be? Do you have any of the details on that?
yeah, that's going to be Wednesday, the 20th. I think that's the 20th or the 19th. The Wednesday
Wednesday is the
before our,
20th.
it's the day before our conference starts. And it's going to be at a place called, the address is 3121 Milam, Milam. It's in Fort Worth. It's a restaurant slash venue. He's had this for last 15 or 20 years. I mean, folks like Robert Groden and Gary Shaw and big some of the big names are there, and then there's little people like me and Casey and other researchers. But it's just an all day thing basically right before. It's kind of a conference kickoff. But like I said, Ricky will be there at that conference, but won't be able to attend anything else. What else do you want to know about what we were doing?
Well, obviously, if anybody that's watching this and would like, if you're already in town or, Fort Worth is not that far from Dallas, uh, if you go to JFK, the continuing inquiry, I'm going to pull up that website real
Yeah,
quick.
get that, show the address and the name of the place. It's kind of hard to find, but it's a really nice place. He's had good turnouts every year.
Give me just a second. But while I'm doing that, why don't you go ahead and how's the well, we asked you about how the book is doing. Have you
Yeah.
gotten any questions or I know we spoke last time about the uh person of interest that was you talked about that last time. Is there anything else that's going on with the book?
Um, well, everybody knows that we originally published the book. We talked about a picture that Gary had identified as a female impersonator, and we know now that that's Doris Duke. And I've been digging into her, going down that web hole for the last 3 or 4 days, trying to find everything I can about her. But then I ordered a book. There are several books about Doris Duke, and she's quite an interesting person. And her relationships with men was equally surprising and interesting. But she come to find out she was was handpicked. She handpicked Jackie Kennedy as as the head of this preservation, this East Coast Preservation Society, which was interesting that they even knew each other. But we're still trying to figure out the connection of why Roscoe would have put a picture of Doris Duke in his scrapbook, and that's another wormhole to go down. We're trying to, what string connection would there be between this guy and a billionaire woman living 1,500 miles away? So we're still working on that. If anybody's got any ideas or any thoughts or you know maybe maybe somebody has some information that we can't find on the internet about her, but we're still looking at that, and we're still looking at having that the scrapbook is a shorthand textbook, and unfortunately there's no shorthand scribbles in the book. They're all numbers and slashes and that sort of thing. So we're trying to figure out who we can contact that would know cryptography, but again, without the key, we don't know what they mean. So we're just leaving it as, they knew something to Roscoe when he wrote it, but they don't mean anything to us unless we could find that key. So speaking of keys, one of the things that I've been working on is there was when Ricky found his father's footlocker, there was the bank bag. Everybody who's got the book knows that there's a bank bag with 2 keys in it. And one of them was a safety deposit box. The other one, we believe we've got it at least on the way I'm thinking, is that it was a key to a locker of some kind in a bus station or an airport or who knows what, but it looked like a typical locker key that I've been to two locksmiths and I showed them blow up pictures of that and asked them, what does this look like? And they said, well, it looks like a common locker like you'd see in a high school or an airport or something along those lines. So if that's true, if what they're saying it's a typical key to a type of locker that a few people would have, only one person would have access to, that's perhaps how he may have received those cables, because he certainly didn't have, according to Ricky, didn't have any kind of electronic teletype machine or decoding machine that he ever saw in any of the homes they lived in before his father passed away. So I'm thinking, clandestine 101 is you drop it, two guys have the same key to the same locker or wherever it might be, drop a message in there, let them know that, hey, there's a message in there waiting for you, you go get it. So I think that's how they got the cables to him, or the messages or the orders to him. So other than that, that's what we've been working on, or I've been working on.
Well, here is the, I couldn't find the website, but I got the Facebook page for Chris Gallup. It's going to be at the Lone Star Garden at 3132 Millam Street, Fort Worth, Texas, 76112, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be, ticket price is $65. That includes your catered lunch, raffle ticket for a door prize, the entire program of speakers, photo ops, and autograph sessions with the speakers. And that's going to include J. Gary Shaw, Robert Groden, Casey Quinlan, Walter Herbst, Sarah Jordan Hines, Jeff Meek, and also obviously Ricky White. You can purchase the tickets directly through Venmo at Chris Gallup or PayPal. I don't see a Zoom link on this, but obviously he's got it listed as in person, so that may be the only way to.
Yeah,
I think
I think you're right. I think I misspoke. I thought he was going to try to get it as a Zoom link, but apparently it didn't go through. So, but anyway, what's interesting is he has a sponsor this year. George Magazine is the sponsor of it. So Jeff Meek is a frequent contributor to George Magazine now, and so hopefully that'll get the word spread out a little bit even faster.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Like I say, we like supporting the others that are, because let's face it. I mean, we're all there's basically a few groups. There's obviously Chris's event that happens the day before all the other events kick off, and then there's us, Lancer, and Kappa. So it even though there you have a lot of options when it comes to going and attending conferences and being part of the different groups. We'd obviously love you to come to our stuff, but we also support and reach across the aisle to at least give the information of the other events that are happening.
Also, before I kick off, I wanted to just give a thanks to Larry Schnapp for the research that he did for me. I was contacted by. I went to my 50th high school reunion. I know I don't look that old, but anyway, I shut up, David. Anyway, the host committee or the committee members found out that I was a published author, and so she said, well, bring some books and you'll probably sell a lot of them, because we're all 67, 68 years old, so we were around when it happened, when the Kennedy assassination took place. So anyway, long story short, I made contact with the host, and I brought a couple boxes of books. I think I sold 19 or 20 of them, which was pretty good. But I made contact with one of the guys at the reunion. He said, "Hey, remember this guy named so and so?" I said, "Well, yeah, kinda. I don't think he was in our class." He goes, "No, he was my neighbor." And he said, "I remember him telling us back in the 70s that his dad was a cop in Dallas before they moved to Kansas City." Didn't know that. That's interesting. He said, "Well, after he's holding my book and he's flipping through it, he said, well, that name Roscoe White, I bet he was on he says, I bet this guy was on the department when Roscoe White was there. And he said, well, what years was Roscoe on the department? I said, 63 to 65. He goes, the guy's dad was on the department at that time and was in the academy at the same time. So anyway, I asked Larry to look up this guy's name. Couldn't find a thing. I mean, every possible spelling of his first name, and never found him. So I was hoping, if nothing else, we could get a little insight of maybe, probably the guy's dad is long dead. But anyway, thanks, Larry, for trying. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry you weren't able to find him.
Yeah, couldn't find him.
There's no notice of death. I even ran the death certificate.
Yeah,
So.
which is weird because a lot of folks that were at at our reunion asked about so and so, and they go, well, they've fallen off the face of the earth. There's got to be some kind of record. I mean, there's financial records or an address or a phone number or something. But this guy that I was trying to find is not anywhere in LexisNexis database, which is extensive,
Right.
Very extensive. So
That's what I used. Yeah.
So thanks again, Larry, for that.
Oh, thank you for the update, Brian, and welcome, Larry. It's good to see you. Well, as we all know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We didn't know who was going to become the new president-elect, but we now know who that is going to be. And whether it's whatever side that you're on, independent, Democrat, Republican, this is the direction that as a country we are heading. One thing that I can say is at least we had one party talk about the JFK records, and it happened to be President-elect Trump. And obviously with RFK Jr. dropping out and becoming onto the scene with supporting of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has stated the fact that he would work with RFK Jr. to hopefully get the records released. Larry sent me a very exciting email. I'm going to have him talk about that and give us some details, and then also how the case is shaping up. Larry, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Well, first on the case, we have oral argument before the Ninth Circuit on Wednesday. The oral argument is we are asking the court to overrule the denial by the district court of our request for injunctive relief, which we were asking the court to order NARA to complete the outstanding searches that remained at the time when the ARD went out of business and the CIA never complied or followed up. There's a few other searches as well we're asking them to do. And so we had asked for an injunction, which, in other words, an order from the court to order NARA to do something, and the court denied that request. So we are asking the court, the Ninth Circuit, two of the judges were appointed by Clinton. Another judge was appointed by Trump. The two Clinton judges are obviously in their 70s. And so we're hopeful. I mean, the fact that we even had oral argument, they could have just decided on the papers. So our oral argument is on Wednesday. Because Bill is the one that's admitted in the Ninth Circuit, he's going to be doing the oral argument. It's about 15 minutes. And we'll probably have a decision either in December or January. And the range of outcomes could be either the court agrees with the judge, the court could reverse the judge, or the court could say the judge made an error made an error, and then send it back to the judge for him to reconsider based on the instructions that the Ninth Circuit gives him. I'm trying to figure out the significance of the fact that the president is changing. The case was Mary Farrell versus Biden and National Archives. So we have to figure out whether we need to amend the complaint to add Donald Trump, because he's now he will be the current president. On the district court level, the government had filed a motion to dismiss, a partial motion to dismiss our complaint on the legislative records Um, legislative records are owned by Congress, and our argument was that legislative records such as the House Select Assassinations Committee, the Pike Committee, the Church Committee, there are records that have not been released relating to the Kennedy assassination from those committees. We have argued that the president has no authority on separation of powers arguments. He has no authority under the Constitution and was not given the authority under the statute to postpone the release of congressional records. They have filed a motion to dismiss on that argument. They're arguing that if the information came from the executive branch, even though it's a transcript of a hearing, it could be notes taken by, say, Dan Hardway of, I'm just using his name as an example. If he looked at a CIA document and took notes, they're claiming those notes can be postponed by the president, even though he was doing that in his capacity as a congressional staffer. So we were going to file our briefs this past Friday, but we got an extension to January. And one of the reasons I wanted the extension was that I have a funny feeling now that Trump is going to be president, that this judge might be a little reluctant to grant broad power to the president, which he did in the first opinion. It was easy for him. He's a Democratic appointee. It's easy for him to basically defer to President Biden because he was a Democrat. But now Trump is going to be in power, and judges are influenced by politics. And I'm hoping that the judge might be a little more cautious about creating precedent in this case that could be used by a president he doesn't agree with in other cases. So we'll see what happens there. So I don't think so. We will probably have a decision by the Ninth Circuit before our briefs are due at the district court motion for summary judgment. We were also making our own cross motion, asking the court to dismiss, to rule in our favor. So that's the litigation phase. As you know, I was an elector for Bobby Kennedy. I've known him for a long time. I consider him a friend. And I have been in touch with the transition team. It's unclear exactly what Trump plans to do, how he plans to look at the Kennedy records. As you may recall, the President Biden instructed the National Declassification Center to review postponed records according to transparency plans prepared by the various agencies. And those transparency plans provided that certain records would be released when certain things occur. So this was sort of put on automatic pilot. So I think the process that needs to be followed is for President Trump to basically decide that the transparency plans don't comply with the statute and basically invalidate them. And then either ask and then basically have the agencies justify why they want further postponement. So I don't know what the process is going to be, but I did reach out both to the transition team directly and Bobby, who's going to pass along my request to the transition team, that whatever committee, whatever commission he decides to develop, that I be part of that, in order to make sure that, because Bobby wants the records released, but he doesn't know the details like I do and other people do. So hopefully we can get someone from our community to advocate for the act and for the particular records to be released. It's obviously very early. I don't anticipate hearing anything until after the inauguration, but I have contacts, a variety of people I know who are, Trump supporters and who are Republicans that have ways of communicating with the transition team, and they are friends of mine. So I've been pulling out all stops. David Schweikert is right is today, I believe, ahead in his race. David Schweikes, the one that did the Justice for Kennedy Act. A few days ago, he was behind in his race. So he, he is right now ahead. It looks like the Republicans are going to retain control of the House, and if so, you know, Jeff Morley is going to try to get Congressman Cohen to introduce a new bill to fortify the existing JFK Records Act. I am trying to work with him to figure out who in Congress is following up on the assassination attempts for Trump, because we need to get bipartisan sponsorship for that bill. And who's ever working on the attempted assassination investigation, would be logical people to co-sponsor a bill. So we have sort of like a variety of things we're working on in order to try to get the records released. I am going to send another letter once President Trump is sworn in. I will send a similar letter that I sent to President Biden asking for the records to be released. It'd be a legal letter. And then I'm probably going to be filing a complaint. I'm going to be suing NARA probably in January. I had asked for all of the records that all the correspondence that was related to the Biden postponements, like I did with Trump. And this lawsuit against Trump was settled, and I got thousands of documents, which were very instructive about how the process was done. And so I'm going to be I'll be filing a lawsuit because they haven't responded to my request for these records in January. So just going to throw as much stuff against the wall and see which spaghetti sticks. So again, if any of you have not yet done so, please in the chat indicate who your congressional representative is and what district, if you have that information, that person represents. Because once we get Congressman Cohen to introduce the legislation, we're going to basically unleash the dogs, and we're going to give you a form letter for you to work off of to send to your representative, asking them to co-sponsor and support the bill. So if you haven't, we've mentioned this in prior conferences here, but if you haven't previously done so, please in the chat indicate who your representative is in Congress, your House of Representative, not your senator, and what the district number is, so that we can develop our list. We have about 60 or 70 names so far of representatives. It'd be nice to get up to 100, because that'd be 1/4 of Congress. So with that, David, I guess, I can answer any questions, or you can just go ahead with your agenda.
No, I think anybody that has a question, please ask Larry, because this is an exciting time that we're going into, not just on the legal side of it, but also on the fact of we may possibly be on the cusp of getting a release of the records that we haven't gotten in the last 4 years with Biden in office. And of course, obviously, Trump made the promise the first time he was in office, he was going to release all of the documents, and instead he held the ones back that were deemed by the alphabet agencies as not being able to be released at that time.
And by the way, David, just if those of you who may have listened to him on Joe Rogan, there was a nuanced change in his discussion about the records. When he was president, he had allegedly told Judge Napolitano that if you saw what I saw, you would have understood why I postponed the records. When he was on Joe Rogan, he said that some good people told me that the record should be released, it should be postponed. And I went along with it. And now enough time has passed that they should be released. So he's kind of admitting what my lawsuit shows, that he never actually saw the records. He got a recommendation from the NSC, and also from the head of the CIA and the head of the Defense Department. So he's no longer saying that there was a reason for him to postpone them. He's just saying he was told to postpone them. So the query, if his incoming head of the NSC comes back and says, I still need to be postponed, will he listen to him or will he go ahead and make his own judgment? And that's why I want to get either myself or someone else involved in that process to be able to push back, because they're using very, very conservative reasons for postponing. They're using this mosaic theory that even though this particular factoid might not relate to the assassination, it could somehow give an enemy a little piece of the puzzle that could help them map out how we conduct surveillance or intelligence or something. So it's like, and the courts have upheld the mosaic theory, which is really frustrating. So there was a slight nuance in the way he talked about it. Now, whether the way Donald Trump talks, he's off the top of his head, and it wasn't like a prepared statement. So you never know, if that represents new thinking or just that's a thought that came into his mind at that moment. But that was a slight change in what he previously had said, that there was a legitimate reason for postponing. He's now saying good people told him, and one of them is Pompeo, and Pompeo's apparently under consideration for some cabinet position, but hopefully whoever he's going to appoint at the NSC and the CIA may be more reasonable, but who knows? Anyway, I forgot to mention that. So back to you, David.
All right, Larry. Well, let me ask you. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, and we all know that politicians love to say "read my lips," but how are you feeling as an overall with the case that you're working on, and then the possibility of getting a release of either some or all the documents, say in the next 4 years?
Dave, I really don't know. Donald Trump made a promise to Bobby Kennedy. He made a number of promises to him. And so if he makes Bobby the healthcare czar, will that be enough for him to say, sorry, Bobby, I can't follow through on the promise I made about your uncle's records? It's really hard to evaluate what he's going to do. I know what he said he would do. And I'm not, this is not political. I just don't know if someone's going to convince him of something otherwise. So to me, it's a toss-up. The judge in our court has been very deferential to the president, the office of the president. And so, he's taking every opportunity to adopt the government's position, and he's construed the statute in a very narrow way, even though it was intended to be read very broadly. He's been deferential to the national security state. So, if Donald Trump truly wants to change the way the deep state works, then he may push back. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's 50-50. I don't think it's anything more than that. And once they come into power, if I get any intelligence from Bobby, I'll let you guys know. But I know that it's important to Bobby to find out, who killed his uncle. At least we have him inside. So I just don't know. We're going to keep pressing our case, pressing the case, pressing the administration, and pressing Congress. Those are the triad. You know how we have a military triad of submarines, bombers, and ICBMs? Well, this is our triad of getting the records released. Congress, lawsuit, and the administration.
Well, as we all know, Congress does not move at a lightning fast pace. They move at a snail's pace. But hopefully we can keep our fingers crossed as a research community and as individual researchers that promises are kept and records are released. And Larry, I wanna thank you for the hard work that I know that you're doing, and also um,
Bill Simpich.
Bill and Bill. You know, I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, I mean, you're our go-to legal team to talk about this. And you know, let's not forget the hard work that the three of you are doing. And obviously, everybody needs to do their part by reaching out uh, to your representatives. So be sure that you either put that in the chat log. You can always put it on the YouTube comments, or if you don't feel like you want to put it there, you can send it either directly to Larry Snaff's email or to my email. Mine is prodigfk@yahoo.com. And Larry, what's your email for everybody?
It's Larry@schnafflaw.com. So that's SCHNAP as in Peter, F as in Frank, LAW.com. And David, you know, even if Congress, let's say Congress passes or amends the JFK Records Act, the version that is going to be introduced is going to call for a new ARB. So that would require the ARB to be formed. As you know, the last time it took 2 years to get the ARB, the people selected and approved. And then there's the process. So I could see if Congress actually acts in the new Congress to reform the statute, it could be till 2027 before an ARB actually begins to start doing work. Now, the good news is there's 4,000 documents that we know remain to be postponed. There's an unknown number of records that are not in the collection. They have to search for those. But so the work may be able to be completed in a shorter time. But I would say that it's probably going to take the entire term of the Trump presidency to get any significant amount of records released.
Well, I was gonna ask that. I mean, we have the JFK Records Act, and then we had the ARB. So, like you just stated, I mean, we're gonna have to have a whole new board, a committee, in order to.
We argued in our lawsuit that NARA was now the successor to the ARB. They said they were the successor to the ARB when they moved the ARB regulations from the section of the federal code to the section of the federal code that is now NARA's, where NARA's is. And when they did it in 2000, they said they were the successor in function. And everything that has been done since then, the NARA has had ARB-like responsibilities. So all we needed was for the judge to say, you know what? NARA is what they said they were, which was successor in function. And then we wouldn't need an ARB. So unless the court or the Ninth Circuit reverses on that decision, we may need a new ARB. So yeah, but assuming that we need a new ARB, it's going to take, you know, a couple years to get that done.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Larry? Now would be a good time to unmute and ask some questions. Again, I want to say him and Bill and Phil are doing excellent work.
And then I would say if between now and January, I know that, you know, we have the Darnell film we'd like to get released. If there are some records that you are aware of that are not in the JFK collection, please let us know. Because if the Ninth Circuit agrees with us, we could add those to our complaint in the district court, and we could also put them in the pot for President Trump and however mechanism he's going to use to look for those records. Because we're saying two things. The records in the collection should be released, and then there were outstanding search requests that were never completed. We have the Carlos Marcello tapes that are under seal in New Orleans from the sting operation when he was in Texas in jail, where he allegedly confessed to arranging for the assassination and said he knew Oswald. So there's a bunch of things that are not in the collection that need to be put in the collection, and there are records out there. You know, how many of you read Jeff Morley's article last week about the whistleblower that saw a document issued by the Inspector General of the CIA evaluating the response of the CIA to the HSCA, and that document has not seen the light of day. So there are documents that we believe exist that are not in the collection. So anyway, just between now and then, if there are documents that you are aware of that are not in the collection, let us know so we can add them to the list.
Yeah, I would have to say, hi, everybody. At the top of my list would have to be Lee Oswald's passport that he renewed, June 24th, 25th, 1963. The one that we found, the facsimiles and the copies at the North Texas State University repository that I've written extensively on about, and that I did a FOIA request to the FBI, and they said that they had passed whatever to the National Archives, so, and to take it up with NARA,
You
so
only have copies, you don't have the original.
yeah, copies. I've sent them to you. I've sent them to everybody in this group already. I've written on my blog, they're readily available there. I don't hide anything, they're there,
Okay. All right, so between now and, inauguration day, think about things and let me know.
All right. Well, thank you again, Larry, for the update and the hope that we have with what will take place in this next administration. I see that I'm going to call on you, Larry Rivera, here in just a second. But I see that we have a long lost prodigal son that has returned for our meeting, Bruce Torres. We were talking about him earlier. He's going to help out with a little bit of the emceeing with his incredible voice. And for those of you that maybe have never seen Bruce Torres, he did a spotlight with us concerning his book a couple years ago, and then also he has his own show. I've been a guest on there, and so have a lot of people in the room here. Bruce, long time no see. Welcome back. How's things going in your area of the globe and your research?
They're going really well. My research basically is confined to helping my boss at Trine Day, Chris Milligan. In 2 weeks, it'll be the first conference that I go to. In addition to emceeing, I'll be at the Trine Day table. He's got a number of new titles related to the assassination and slightly peripheral, but still, pretty exciting. And for a year and a half, more or less, every Saturday, I was doing my own podcast. I'm doing two podcasts, but now I can schedule them when I want. But I haven't been on one of these for a long, long time because one of them was a Saturday. And this is just so fun to be back here and reconnect with everybody.
Well, it's definitely a pleasure having you back, Bruce. For those of you that'll be at the conference, make sure that you stop by the table, the Trine Day table with Chris Milligan, and get a chance to talk to Bruce one-on-one, and then he'll be helping out with some emceeing during the conference. And Bruce, what's the best way that people can get to your podcast? And either I don't remember if it's live or if it's in the replays, but what's the
Sure.
best way to get to that?
At my website, brucedetoris.com.
All right, brucetorres.com. And I'm pretty sure there's a link up on our website in the affiliates tab, but if not, I will definitely do an update, but I'm pretty sure that you're there. It's a good
Wonderful.
source of information to we're kind of like the yellow pages of the websites concerning the JFK assassination research. So again, I just want to send a quick shout out to Bruce and welcome him back, and hope you're enjoying what's transpiring today.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, and our next guest is going to be Larry Rivera. He's going to give us some updates on.
Give me a few minutes, maybe about 10 minutes. I'm not ready yet. Go ahead and
Okay,
I'll
I
let
can
you-
vamp for. I can vamp for
I
10
just
minutes.
got on. I didn't get that link until now.
Okay, not a problem.
Right,
And
go ahead.
that's my fault. I went to send it last night and I was tired. I saved it. I saved that email as a draft and I realized it didn't go to you, so I went ahead and hit the send button. So I apologize for that, Larry.
Okay. Let me go ahead. Well, anyway, a lot of progress, on the blender end. Further fine tuning, a lot of things. We've spoken about this before, it's not, it's not an easy task. And we had been talking about that old red courthouse building, okay? And Gary Fannin had given me information on that. I wasn't aware of it, that it was built in 1893. That's a long time ago. And in order to finish out the model of Dealey Plaza, I always thought that that's an essential building there that has to be included. And I think I can go ahead and this- you're gonna have to give me screen share capabilities. Yeah,
Got
go
it
ahead.
now? All right.
Okay, here we go. How's that?
Yep, we got it.
All right. Wow, this is a very intricate. I don't know if anybody here knows architecture or anything like that. I would venture to say maybe some kind of Gothic type of architecture here. If anybody in the group knows about this, go ahead and shout out, and let me know. But the thing about this is, and I mentioned it last week, is that there are no plans, there are no blueprints or anything, to model this. So basically, I've had to, let me get some reference images here for you. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, the only reference images available are these, so in trying to get this thing going, as you can see, and it's quite intricate, and like I mentioned last time, I don't go and model each and every component. Okay, here I've already joined everything here. But I go ahead and first, for example, if I'm going to model let's get rid of this. I'm going to model the towers, I'm just going to do one and then duplicate that, and then go from there. And as I was almost finishing, I realized when I looked at another reference image that the building actually has this recess here that faces Houston, and it extrudes out, and it's got these ornate pillars there, I would have to call those. All right. And so I had to go back, back to the drawing board, and and try and go ahead and model that. And then I also found out that the doors were actually these arched doors, so basically the model is probably about 95%. I don't think plus, for our purposes, it's doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that, just functional. So I'm just going to get out of here and go to the actual. Okay. Here.
One
Okay.
thing, Larry, as speaking of functionality, we've heard of, and I know Casey's talked about it, and a lot of researchers have, is basically the God spot up in the courthouse building. You would now be able to put a camera in that
Oh yeah.
God spot section and be able to look and see.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
right here.
why don't you show us that?
Yeah, it's right here. I'm clicking on it right there. Okay. And as I give you that view, okay, of the scene, we've already I've mentioned it before. Originally I was only able to do still images, right? But now we've progressed towards animation, and that's where we're at. I don't know if anybody here is aware that Blender is one of the most popular game engines available, and it's free, it's open license, and it's very mature, and it's very, very good at creating these three-dimensional scenes here. For example, if I go ahead and pan here, I can go back. I was just showing you the view from the top of the tower there. That's an excellent view, So if I were to go ahead and start this, okay, it would be, this is what you would have seen from that point. I'll take out the gizmos here. And one of the things that is extremely controversial and that we already know from the Newcomb tapes is the limo stop. The other thing, we've got the brake lights going on both of the vehicles, and the limo stop, I have set it here. It's around 6 seconds. It was probably more, but at least, we're getting that action here in the scene. Okay. Now, if I were to go and something that I find very, very interesting, and this is a technique, for example, I can go ahead and split the screen here. Okay. And I can go ahead and give you a different camera for that panel there. Okay. So if I've got Zapruder going here and I've got the tower going here, well, guess what? I can go and give you another camera view. And in this case, I'm going to do the much more. Okay. Much more. Are you? I don't have anybody in the doorway yet. Because, we got to first get this going. Okay, as you know, all those different all those triangles are actually cameras. Okay, so I've got much more, right? Oops. That's right. Okay, there it is. Much more, and we'll do the tower. Let's keep this here. Okay, and over here, let's do much more. And the thing about this is, okay, we got much more, and then we've got tower. Okay, and here, let's do Zapruder over here. Okay, and put him in the game here. So I've got all these nice split screens going on here. Okay, and actually, that's a book that I will be writing on how to apply Blender to the JFK assassination. And down here, we have our timeline. Okay, and having a little trouble here. Okay, if I go back to the first frame as set here at the top of Elm Street, okay, so this one here is going to be much more. This one here is going to be the top of the tower, and this here is going to be Zapruder. Okay, so what I'm giving you here as we and let's turn up some of this. Let's get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Get that out. Okay. This is why this Blender is so effective in taking us back to what really happened there in Dealey Plaza, using the reference images. For example, the base reference image for this scene has always been the Cutler map, because Robert Cutler, being one of the very first generation, he used to call himself an assassinologist. Okay, and he was the very first one to map out Dealey Plaza within months, which was a very important step because he did it before a lot of the a lot of the parts of Dealey Plaza changed. The landscape has changed over the years. And so this is the culmination, of creating a scene based on on his work. And also by using other reference images such as Z255, the Alton 6. Once you line all that up, and you get the downslope and everything, according to the maps and the elevations and everything, then so this is the result. And as you can see, we've got the brake lights going, the limos are stopping, the Lincoln continues after a certain amount of time. Okay, and you know, this is why this is such an invaluable tool in studying, you know, and comparing, of course, because now you got to go and compare this to, you know, what's left, you know, what's been torn asunder, you know, what I would say, you know, the Z film, you know, the Knicks, you know, the much more, all of them, you know, and running them and putting them side by side, you know, to see what you come up with, you know. So thankfully, you know, this is the culmination of a long time's work. You know, this has been going on for years, you know, and I just wanted to share this with you guys, you know, briefly here. And we'll continue to report on this. That's it.
Well, perfect, Larry. Yeah, like I said before, I mean, it's a work in progress, and the model has definitely come, you know, a lot farther than even what it was just a year ago. So, I mean, we're looking at the fact of being able to contrast and compare to what we see in the you know, the videos of 1963 to what the testimony or what eyewitnesses
And,
state that they had seen.
and before I finish, David, pardon my interruption. Let me just
go
show
ahead.
you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so I'll just grab this here again, and I've even given it some sound so everybody can turn on their sound and hear the eerie music here that I've put on this. So go ahead.
We see the animation, Larry, but the sound effects we don't have. You'd have to go in on Zoom, down on your audio,
Okay, yeah, okay,
and
yeah.
make that same as system.
Hold on. And that is done at the bottom here. Audio, yeah,
Yeah, you should be able to
speakers,
click same as system.
same as system. It is same as system.
Let's see here.
Same as system. Select micro speaker, same as system.
You know, it's done when you share, Larry. In the upper left of the share window, before you share it, you'll see enable audio.
Upper left, upper left.
When you click on the share window,
Share sound, yeah. Share sound, yeah. Okay, got it.
All right, try again, Larry. Thank you, Bob.
No sound?
No, we got sound that time.
Okay, gotta tell me. Okay, here goes. Want to see it one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, one of the main things that we have been working here has been the reflections. Okay, reflections, when you compare reflections in Blender as they are based on the sun, the angle, the time of day and everything, they have specific interactions, okay, in Blender. And when you compare to the Z film, you don't see those interactions, you know, the way that Blender interprets. Okay, so that's another very important issue in creating this composition, which, you know, lasts 26 seconds. That's another thing. The time frame can be compared. So many different variables here that that can be worked with which take us to the 21st century, technology, digital applications and that kind of thing, to enhance, our ability to interpret what really happened there on Dealey Plaza. That's it.
How come the brake lights were shown to be on while the car starts moving again?
Because if you look at the Z, I know, very good, very good point, Larry. Because in the Z film, if you go down to Z7, 368, 367, the brake light is on. So I've extended that to that position in the Z film. Go ahead and check out, and you'll see that the brake light. In fact, that's one of the things that a lot of early researchers noted, including Beverly Brunson. Hey, the left brake light is on, but not the one on the right. And I believe you also see those in the Muchmore and in the Knicks. So we're just trying to mimic, that position. And,
Does that
I'm
mean that he
you
had
brought
his
that up.
both on the gas and the brake at the same time?
Yeah, it could be. Could be.
He-
Not like,
He
when
could have been double footing that.
Yeah. That's
In
yeah.
the old days, when everyone drove a stick, your
Yeah.
left you used for the clutch, your right hand for the gas. And I know when I used to then go to an automatic, I would still use my left foot for the brake and the right foot for the gas.
Yeah.
Wondering if in the confusion and the emergency, was he like riding both and didn't realize it?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be answering that in November. Can't do it now because but it's a very good point. Yeah.
Well, very, very good, excellent work, Larry. And want to throw this out. Not only is the Larry going to be there at the conference in person, but also we'll have copies of his new version of the book on a flash drive for those that want a digital copy. And Larry gave us some great news yesterday. The JFK Horseman book that has been out of print for a few years, he's going to have a limited amount of copies in color available for
25.
those of you that want to get that book. And I'm still old school. I like to have a book in front of me, but I also see that you've got to be able to reach people no matter what way they're going to
Yeah.
read something, whether it's in print or whether it's on their
Yeah,
digital
and
device.
it's going to be the color version, which is the one that everybody has been asking for.
Yeah, so we'll have those as well. Does anybody have any other questions for Larry with his model and the work that he's doing, or if you do you have any questions as far as or any comments that you'd like to see him implement into the model?
I think somebody asked to see, and we weren't able to do it last time. The storm drain camera. If I may, let me just
Yeah, while you're pulling that up,
because that
Bob
one doesn't that one
Bob
doesn't
wants to
have,
know if the book can be mail ordered, Larry.
yeah, through moonrockbooks.com. Yeah, Dave
Okay.
Gary. Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully that'll answer that.
And also,
Rob.
also in Amazon, I believe.
All right.
Okay, I've got it running here. Let's just very briefly, because I know there was a gentleman last time that wanted to see this. Can I get the screen? Oops.
Oh yeah, it should still be turned on. Give me just a quick sec. Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, but I can't get back. Wow, I can't get back to the main. Oops. Nah. I'm stuck in a loop here. I can't get to the meeting
Can't see
screen.
the share button.
No, the meeting screen is not coming out right now at all. Okay, I see. Okay. Now.
Okay. Sometimes it happens when you're working on more than one screen. Sometimes that happens.
Okay, so I'll take this here. Here it is. Okay, so here's the one from the storm drain.
Okay, we can see that.
All right. It's short, but it's the same view, but from the storm drain, and with the the time that delay about 6 seconds or whatever, it's short, but this is what they wanted to see last week, and at the end we just couldn't. All right, and that's it.
All right. Well, keep up the good work. And any questions or comments for Larry?
See you in November.
Larry Snaff wrote that a car appears to be accelerating at a rate that would appear to be faster than gravity. As far as like in scale, real world acceleration, how have you
Good,
determined
very
that,
good
Larry?
another very excellent question. It's set at 18.3 frames per second, which is exactly what the Z film is. And I've been
I was just suggesting, I was responding to Mike's comment that Elm is steep, and having put the brakes
Yeah.
on, momentum would have slowed the car down, and to get it moving again at the rate that it appears, it seems like you'd have to apply some gas, and it wouldn't be gravity that would be able to do that. Just
Mhm.
just just appearance, not a scientific thing. That's what my eyes are telling me. But I
Well, and
Yeah.
of course, we'd love to know, what this phenomenon was showing. We unfortunately we don't have that detail. So I see where Larry's going off the fact of going with the frames per second to adjust for the speed. So that's the closest thing that we're going to have in order to to get that speed up to the takeoff again.
Yeah, as far as the simulation is concerned, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to our portion of, I really don't have anything else for the day, but um, let's see. Larry, it shows, I guess Moonrock only has the black and white version available.
No. This is special order. This is a special
Okay.
order that's that I negotiated. It's gonna be sent directly to the hotel.
Oh, okay. Well, Bob was wanting to find out if he could order a copy and have it sent directly to him. Could you send him could he make a payment to you? And
I
send you
can,
a copy?
yeah. All you got to do is email Dave. I'm pretty sure he was going to order some extra copies. They're working on it. The pandemic created a lot of problems. First of all, we know that Dave was out of commission for almost a year because he had COVID. He almost died. He was on respirator. For I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months. And then when he finally was able to work, he found out that, a lot of the publishing companies either were out of business or their prices were extremely high, so that's why the delay and why, the book went out of print and everything, but we're getting back up to speed now.
All right, perfect, Larry. Well, I tell you what, now would be a great time for our what we want to call I guess our water cooler talk. Let's hear it from the audience. Anybody can join in. I want to hear what you guys are working on. What are your thoughts and questions that you may have concerning the JFK assassination, the research? Maybe you have a question for someone here in the audience. You can ask on chat, or you can also unmute and come on. Anybody read any good books lately on the JFK assassination?
I noticed that I don't know if we mentioned this last time, but there was an article in Garrison magazine a year ago where this Australian author apparently did some research with the Parkham family and came up with some interesting conclusions. And I just wonder if anyone had read that article and if they had what their response was to that article.
Brian, I know I sent you that copy. Have you had time to read that yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of things in there I would call into question, but I haven't. I've read it 1.5 times, and I need to read it some more. But there's some things in there I don't agree with. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. It just I don't. In my research, I've never heard of those things, or what I did here was different. And other researchers have said, 3 or 4 times, this is what we find. And then some of these things that he's talking about are, I'll just leave it at that. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff, but it's interesting. It's a good read. But not sure how accurate a lot of that information is.
It seemed to have been, I think the articles was overwhelmed with the Landis book, came out at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And the author does believe that Oswald did shoot Tibbet in defense. I asked him a couple questions about what, why about the forensics. He didn't respond to that, but there's just an interesting article, but that's not my area of expertise. So I was just curious if other people knew more about it,
Yeah.
shooting, of what they thought.
Well, I've got David, you talked about a new book. This just came out. This one, The Plot to Kill President Kennedy in Chicago by Palomara. It's real interesting. I've got about I just got it yesterday and I'm about halfway through it. Of course, Vince is meticulous in his footnotes and research. He's got a lot of documents in here, a lot of correspondence between him and other Secret Service agents. So far it's a good read. It's the basic premise is the investigation in the Chicago attempt, how it built a scenario for what would take place in Dallas. It's when he calls it a visual investigation. I was expecting a lot of pictures. There are some pictures, but mostly it's documents and newspaper clippings. But again, if you're a Palomara fan, you need to get this one, add it to the collection. But it's got some good stuff in it, what I've read so far.
Are new documents that we haven't previously seen?
Larry, I wouldn't know a new document from an old document anymore. That's what somebody asked me the other day. Hey, these records are going to be brought out by the new president. What do you think of that? I go, well, I don't put a lot of stock in documents because how do you know how long they've been in there? It could have been there an hour ago. They could have been in there 50 years ago. I don't put a lot of faith in documents. I mean, they're good as a reference point, but it's putting all your eggs in that basket. Personally, I don't do that. But Vince has got a lot of memorandum from the Secret Service, after action reports, that sort of thing, memos. He really has a good whole chapter on Bolden, our good friend Abraham Bolden, about the Chicago event. So it's how many pages is it? And not including the acknowledgments and index, it's 227 pages, and it just came out. You had to pre-order it, and I finally got it yesterday. But it just came out 2024, so this month. So anyway, it's a good read. Add it to the collection. The Plot to Kill President Kennedy in Chicago and the Other Traces of Conspiracy Leading to the Assassination of JFK, a visual investigation by Vince Palomara. That's a good one.
The guy that wrote the book that the movie The Irishman was based on died last week. And apparently he wrote a book 2 years ago about the Kennedy assassination. I forget his name right now.
Charles Brent.
Yeah. Has anyone read that book?
I read the Irishman book, and the other, the one that he wrote on the JFK assassination. I haven't picked it back up for a while. But let me give you the title of that real quick. I started reading it, and then I mean, so far, I mean, it's a good book. I just got busy with school and I could not get back to it, but I have it sitting on my.
He obviously believes the mafia was involved. And then the other news is the mafia movie that was going to be done by David Manuet apparently has been a change, and there's a new producer. Bob, you remember who Jeff said it was? Bob Saltzman. I just forget the guy's name.
Yeah, that was 48 hours ago. You don't expect me to remember that. I don't recall, Larry. I'm sorry, I can't help.
And I guess they also have a change in some of the cast.
The name of that book is Suppressing the Truth in Dallas, Conspiracy Cover-Up International Complications in the JFK Assassination Case. That was released back in 2022. Yep. It is available on it's available on Amazon, and then You can also, well, you used to be able to get off his website. I don't know if somebody's taken over his website for him. But yeah, like I say, I got less than 100 pages into it, and I had to get back to schoolwork, so I haven't had time to pick it back up. I've been doing everything else. But yeah, I did a deep dive into his book, The Irishman, and because it held a personal interest. My dad knew Hoffa and also Frank Sheeran on a personal note. So when that book came out, I was all over that damn thing. And obviously there was some compared from the book to the movie, there was a little bit of artistic licensing that took place, but it's probably one of the truest to form books that he had written. And then, like I say, I haven't made a complete analysis of the JFK book. I know it got some haters right off the bat. And the weird part about it is it got haters before the book was ever released. There was reviews, and we see this all the time, especially when it comes to JFK books. Uh, you know, Amazon had done a decent aspect of making it where you couldn't review it unless you either bought it or even before the release of it. I think there was like 60 or 80 reviews, and they were just trashing the hell out of the book. And mostly the people that did the reviews, I mean, there was nobody on there I read all the reviews. There was nobody on there that did the review of that book that I had heard of in the last 30 plus years inside the research community. So I don't know if they were bots or if they were, a higher end that just didn't want that book coming out. But like I say, I mean, I have it and I'm still reading it. Once I finish it, then yeah, I'll definitely give you my book club review of it.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Larry. Thank you very much for that, the architecture style on that Richardson Romanesque. I would have never guessed that one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I just found out the Mafia movie, they've had yet a third. So Bob, it was Barry Levinson that Jeff had mentioned. He's actually no longer involved either. It's Roland Joffe is going to direct the movie. It's called November 1963, The Killing of a President. It's gonna focus, unfortunately, on the Giancana aspect of it, which I don't think is accurate. I think Marcello was more involved, but
Yeah, Levinson was a little bit of a loose cannon, I think, and they were concerned about that. But I'm the name that you just gave, I'm familiar with Rollins and Joffe, which is a big production house in New York. Is that Rollins, Rollins, and Joffe, or
Olin Joffe is the name of the director.
Olin? I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying.
And the producer is what's his name here? Oh, well. So they have Sam Giancana's nephew and his middle daughter are involved. So obviously they're trying to monetize their dad's alleged involvement. Originally, Al Pacino and John Travolta were going to be in it. But it looks like they're saying that they're doing recasting. So I guess the whole project died and maybe those people aren't involved anymore. Joffe recently directed the Civil War drama, The Gray House. Anyway, so that's unclear when it's going to be. If they haven't even picked the cast yet, I guess it's going to be another 2 years before it comes out. And
Probably at least a good 2.
It looks like it's been financed from overseas. Not surprising.
All right, Bob. I know you were getting ready to talk a while ago. Did you want to add something?
No, I didn't have anything. I was interested in Larry's follow-up comments. You'd asked about books. I'm currently digging through Jefferson Morley's book, The Ghost, about James Jesus Angleton, and that I'd mentioned it Thursday night to the JFK Facts Group. if those of it's fascinating. Morally researches things to a fault. So it's a very heady book. I've been at it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm only a third of the way through. But boy, talk about a character. And those of you who are familiar with or have been researching or thought about the connection that Angleton played directly and or indirectly, there's a lot of material in there that is very suggestive of his possible role. But again, I'm not through it enough yet to draw any conclusions.
What book are you talking about? I had to step away. Sorry.
Bruce, it's called The Ghost.
Oh, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's written by Washington Post columnist or a writer, Jefferson Morley, who, as you know, runs the JFK Facts Substack and has a podcast similar to this one on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
On Thursday evenings. And so this topic about what have you been reading came up interestingly Thursday night.
Brian, any updates on Ruby Rosa? Unmute.
Larry, I've been looking at that rabbit hole for a week now, and I'm not real clear that Wikipedia is the best source for that kind of stuff, but they've got a whole list of things that he has accomplished or is associated with. But I have been finding some good stuff about the accident that he was, involved in. There's some great photographs. I could send the website out as soon as I find it. But he was driving a Ferrari convertible and had just left a cabaret in Paris, celebrating his horse won a horse race or something, and he apparently had lost control and struck the rear of a parked car. And the photographs that I found, you can see the photographs were taken from behind and in the front of the car, and you can see, and my accident reconstruction brain kicked in, and it looks like that he was braking not only before he hit the car, the left rear car, the parked car, but he was also accelerating before he hit the tree, and the tree was right on the other side of the car. And I've twisted that so many times, and I have never ever seen that type of skid pattern, an acceleration pattern during a collision, unless something caused him to panic and step on the gas instead of the brake, which has happened before. But the roadway conditions and the evidence left on the roadway, according to those pictures, certainly indicate there was a little bit more than him losing control and hitting the back of a car. I'm sure he was intoxicated because he was known, and stand by, I'll tell you. There's a book I just got about halfway through. It's called The Last Playboy. It's about Ruby Rosa and his conquests.
There's some good documents at Mary Farrell, actually. He was a top henchman for Trujillo,
Right.
He was a playboy, worldwide playboy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, he married Trujillo's daughter.
Uh-huh.
And so he had a place in the cabinet, but he chose to be a playboy and horse racer and car driver and polo player. But every reference in here in The Last Playboy talks about his appetite for not only women, but for alcohol. So there's no doubt in my mind he was intoxicated. But what's interesting is the photographs of the interior of the car show blood in the passenger seat that had been there, but had dried by the time the cops got there. Maybe there was somebody with him. I don't know, but there was damage on both sides of the windshield to indicate that there was a passenger. So I'm still looking at that, but regardless of that, he died on the way to the hospital. But how why Roscoe White would have had a picture of her, of his, of her former wife in his scrapbook, it remains to be the mystery.
Yeah, that was a great discovery that almost was the intention of the way I read your book's introduction, Brian, was looking for corrections. You know,
Yeah.
here's what we've discovered. Speak up, and that I guess I think you disclosed along with Gary that was a picture of Doris Duke and
Right.
not who you maybe originally thought, and then that led us to Ruby Rosa, and so you know, cornstarch, right?
Exactly. David, I've got a picture of the interior. Not that it's, you know, I'm not the expert. I mean, I was the expert 30 years ago, but I'm not the expert anymore because things have changed. But let me show you the picture of what the interior of this of his car looked like. If I can figure out how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see that? You see that? He crushed whoever he was driving the car, but whoever it was, he crushed the steering wheel. And this was a solid steel,
Yeah.
wood encased steering
Yeah.
wheel from only not on the top, but on the bottom. So
Yeah,
he hit
no
with pretty
seatbelts.
significant impact on that tree. Here's the tree. It's a sad day when a Ferrari takes a big hit like that, but
Well, I mean, it was reported to be a chestnut tree, so they are pretty
Right.
immovable.
right. Well,
Yeah, that's
just about any tree of that size isn't going to go anywhere. But the whole windshield was punched out on both sides. So unless he had somebody with it, and you see in this picture the windshield's been removed, but the pictures that I've seen show a clear indication of impact on the windshield, but there was also impact on this windshield on the other side. So he may have had somebody with him. Here's a pic. That's Mr. Ruby Rosa with Trujillo's daughter
Mm. Mhm.
and their wedding day. That lasted about 6 months.
Well, you know, Brian, I'm tempted to surmise here that Ruby Rosa might have also been involved in the Trujillo-led attacks trying to unseat, overthrow Fidel Castro from the Dominican Republic, you know?
That wouldn't surprise me. This book goes into a little bit of detail about his, you know, maybe his OSS connections, but it really doesn't hit the nail on the head and say he was OSS or he was, you know, covert intelligence or he was part of the, you know, the covert operation to overthrow Trujillo. But it doesn't. There's a couple other books about Ruby Rosa that are interesting, but he had an interesting life. But anyway, that picture tells me a lot right there. That he was going significantly faster than just down a city street.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, your chest is crushed completely.
Oh yeah, it was crushed.
He's an interesting guy. I mean, all that you say is so intriguing, and a guy who can do all of that and be married 5 times. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
you know, what was his deal?
yeah. Well, it's an interesting book.
That was the rumor that he was well endowed.
Yeah, they called him. They had they had a nickname for him in here. It's in Spanish. I'll have to have Larry read it, and I don't know how to translate it, but it says, you know, basically saying, "Oh my God," you know.
It reminds me from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, woof.
Right. You know, what was the trade? He got your brain, and what did you get?
He's going to be very popular. Very popular.
Arnold Palmer.
Oh my God.
Too. Yes.
Jesus.
And Gary Cooper.
And Larry Schnapp. I mean, come on, if we're going to talk about that, let's
Start rumors.
Remember that this is going to end up on YouTube, so you might want to bring it back. I'm not a prude.
Back in a little bit.
People asked how did he do it? That was relevant to.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just joking. I was just thinking about David saying, okay, you know, when should I rein this in?
David's interested. He wants to learn more.
Yeah, yeah. We're this is not the National Enquirer. Inquiring minds do not want to know.
No.
But well, let's see. Where the hell is I going to go with that? Anybody else would like to add something or to ask a question or talk? I know we got something in the chat log here from let's see, from Gary Sorensen. Did LBJ have enough of a heavy hand back then to prevent members of Congress from digging into things when Lane and others started publicly questioning things? Anybody want to answer that? I think I wanted to just throw it out there. I think just in the way of how LBJ was before he got into the White House, we know he was heavy-handed, and he would basically come across as basically, if there's something you didn't want to do, he had a way about him to make you wonder why you hadn't volunteered to do something. So I think. I think heavy-handed in I mean, hell, he came from Congress, so I think yeah, he probably was heavy-handed in the fact of making his opinion known. Now, whether or not he had enough umph to him to make people question whether they should be releasing something, let's not forget the fact that with all the mysterious deaths that were taking place back then, I think you could kind of look at the fact of I think you kind of look at the fact of, you know, the first generation researchers, authors, people like Mark Lane releasing Rush to Judgment in every form, whether it was an LP record, a video, or in the book. You know, you had to be sure that you know you had the information, and you might have needed a assurance of a backup plan in case something happened to you. So it's amazing that even today, with books that get released or films, I mean, it's almost like we still have um, a group that you know doesn't want the information to come out. Because let's face it, if we were going to rely on our government agencies to give us the truth and release all the information, which of course it's our records, it's public records that we should already have had, they would have done it by now. But it's up to us to continue in the quest for the truth, and to also keep demanding that we get the information that we're entitled to have, and the information that we want to know. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be doing this as many years as we have.
By the way,
And
there's
to talk about LBJ, I would refer Gary to a couple of books by Phil Nelson. Off the top of my head, is it Colossus? Is it but anyway, Phil Nelson's the author, Gary. He wrote two voluminous books about the skullduggery of LBJ. And if you got through those books, you would have a great impression of what Johnson was capable of. And any decent book on the JFK assassination alludes to, if not describes, how he kind of was the spirit hovering over J. Edgar Hoover and Allen Dulles, but not hands-on, how they contained and manipulated the Warren Commission to its conclusion. And there's no question in my mind that through the Mark Lane and ramping up to Garrison by 1967, Johnson was well aware of containing any honest exposure of stuff related to the assassination.
Yeah, one
Very
is
very good point,
Mastermind.
Bruce.
Yeah, one is Mastermind, and the other one is from Mastermind to the Colossus.
That was it. Those are them.
so the other thing we learned this week is the guy that's running for a representative in Alaska, and Bob, you can correct me, I believe that he's a son of the representative that died in the airplane crash. The guy from Louisiana, from the
Hell Boggs?
Boggs.
what?
Hell
Boggs.
Boggs.
Yeah, so I believe that he is a relative of Hell Boggs. I forgot whether he's a son or a grandson or something. But he's in a pretty tight race in Alaska, but you know, don't know if he what his views are. Bob, do you remember? I know it's 48 hours ago.
No, I just remember that it was a relative of Hale Boggs.
Okay.
And, that's an event that also has some little elements of mystery around it as well.
Yep.
So the other book, by the way, I don't know, Bruce and others who are more familiar with LBJ, but I had read an interesting book several years ago by Barr McClellan called Blood, Money, and Power. And it was all over the place, but it might give some insights into LBJ as well, but maybe not as much as the ones you refer to.
I was not impressed with him when I met him.
Yeah, I didn't meet him. I think I got the book just before the 50th anniversary conference, Sarah Weck's conference.
The problem with anyone that thinks that LBJ, it's one thing to say LBJ participated in the cover-up. For anyone that believes that he was involved in the planning, the question you have to ask is, did you know that planning to kill a president is an extremely dangerous endeavor? You have no idea it's going to work, and you could be hung for treason. And if you wanted to truly get rid of JFK in 1963, the plan was to go through Hoover, and LBJ and Hoover were very close. And if LBJ really wanted to get rid of JFK, he just had to get his buddy Hoover to release all the dirt he had on Kennedy. And that would have been the more logical way to go than to try to risk killing him without knowing it's going to work. So that's why I always dismiss any ideas that LBJ was involved in the plot. He clearly was involved in preventing the truth from coming out. But the idea that the best politician of our time at that time, LBJ, would have had to resort to murder to get rid of the president when he has so many other ways to do it, it just boggles the mind. He's too.
So Larry, what you're saying is that he probably found out about the plot at the Murchison party the night before?
Oh, I think the whole Murchison thing is bullshit.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that once it happened, and if you look at the way he behaved that day, unless he's a great actor, which he wasn't, he was as much as in shock as anybody else, but he was clearly involved in the cover-up. But for anyone that believes that he was involved in the killing of the president, you have to explain why he would have chose the most dangerous path when he had other opportunities, and being the most talented politician around, why he would choose such a path that could have led to treason. And by the way, those hearings that they were worried about, they were conducted in 1964. Congress held the hearings about, that everyone said that it's going to expose LBJ. The Democrats held the hearings and shut him down, just like they would have done if Kennedy was still around, because in either way, they never would have wanted to taint the administration. So I'm just being practical. I mean, you have to think about that way. I don't like LBJ. I have friends that are on the wall in DC on the Vietnam Memorial because of him. So, this is not because I'm an LBJ supporter. I'm just saying you have to be practical and realistic. Anyway.
David, another thing, if I can sneak in here, or
Yeah, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
Could you help me? I'm the biggest frustration with aging, besides the world around me, is losing some long and short-term memories. Was there a conversation here, or just refresh my memory on the notion of Brian and Gary and Ricky White getting together on one of these meetings in one of your special events? Did that happen, or is it going to happen, or
it is still in the planning stage. I'm 100% for it. I know that we're trying to figure out a good time for Ricky, for Gary, and for Brian to come on. But it will be part of the Spotlight series. You haven't missed it because it hasn't happened yet. I would hope that we could do it after this conference this month. If we could get it going either in December or in January would be great. But again, it kind of, all things are great when you're dealing with only one person, but when you're kind of doing a panel, whether it's in person or online, you want to make sure you can get everybody on the same page, and the schedules have to align. But yeah, I mean, I'm still 100% for it. I know Brian is too.
I think it would be
Like I say, that's where we're at.
it would be very hard to top what happened at the conference last year, David and Brian and everybody, with Ricky and his family there. I've never seen such a, touching and emotional presentation, in JFK. I think that's number one.
Yeah, that's a good point, Larry. There's nothing like that face to face, and if other family members are involved. But
Oh,
there is
yeah.
but what I'm getting at is there's a very large community of people like myself
Sure,
who
sure.
were not able to attend and so forth. So, and I completely understand and respect the problems that you're talking about. I don't want to get off topic, but I'm in several other ventures, including at a local college where I create course structures, and the biggest challenge is just getting 5 people in the room, let alone 2 at the same time, professors and so forth. So, so I respect that. And, and so I guess the good news is that it hasn't happened. I haven't missed it. And
Well,
it
Bob,
does go forward. I appreciate Brian getting involved.
let me say this. I will talk to Ricky and Gary in 2 weeks, and we'll make sure that that we do have it, that it does go forward, because I know Ricky wants to talk to as many people as he can, and we want him to be exposed out to the public. That's the reason we brought the book. So we'll try to make that happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one thing. I mean, like Larry said, it was a very powerful presentation that happened last year at the conference. And yes, those videos are coming out where people will be able to see it. But to put something here for the masses, especially on YouTube and our followers, and for those of you that are in person, or well, in the meeting live as it happens, and I'm sure you've got some questions that you want to ask. So yeah, definitely, Brian, work on that, and let's try to shoot for sometime between right after Christmas, before let's try to do it right after Christmas and right before I start my next semester at college.
Well, let's you and I gang tackle Gary, and we'll make it happen. He'll do whatever we ask him to do on Ricky, because he wants the story out just as much as I do and Ricky does. So it'll be an easy sell, but let's tag team and get him to.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm
Sell
delighted
more books.
that the pilot light is still lit, and maybe turned up the gas a little bit with this question. I appreciate your answers, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else would like to add anything? If not, I want to go back over again and just touch base. Like I say, we're going to be having the November conference in Dallas at the DoubleTree. You can find all the information out. Obviously, the schedule. You can get your tickets bought on the JFK Historical Group website, and you can also find the information as far as your sign-up tickets go. The link on the projectjfk.com website. Also, both websites have, the JFK Historical Group. Both websites have donate buttons. So if you'd like to donate to either one of our organizations or both, please do so. And remember, we can't have this without the support of our faithful researchers, and even those that maybe haven't got the years put in like some of us do. You're important too, and we want to reach the masses in order to get this information out there and to get people to understand the history of the past. Because if you don't understand the history that took place in the turbulent 1960s and even before that, you're going to have a hard time understanding what's going on today in our world. So remember, history doesn't repeat itself, but it echoes. It comes back in different forms.
Rhymes.
It definitely rhymes, yes. So again, we will have the conference in person and also on Zoom. So if you have not signed up for your tickets yet, please do so. And if you want to come in person and you want to try to see if you can still get a decent rate with the hotel directly, you more than welcome to give them a call. Or there is also 2 other hotels, one right next door and one across the street. So there's still opportunities to get a room and show up in person. Or we'll hopefully see you on Zoom. So with that, I'm going to bring this meeting to a close. Before doing that, I want to say that our next journey meeting will be after December the 15th. I've got finals as soon as I get back from Dallas, so be looking for the emails to go out with the invite links, and also on Eventbrite on our website. It'll happen between the December 15th time and Christmas. We will get together on a Saturday and do another jury meeting, kind of do a recap of the conference and what's going on with the research community. So I want to say thank you to everybody that showed up today. Great information. I want to thank all the speakers that spoke up and added to the meeting. You guys are greatly appreciated, and hopefully Casey will be able to join us in December. So with that, I wish you guys a good rest of the weekend, and we will see you in Dallas, hopefully.
Hey, Larry Schnapp, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
All right, everybody take care.
Bye.